All right, so well, let me give the official cheers and welcome each and every one of you to another weekly edition of Happy Hour with the Lincoln. This is where I will do my very best to answer your stock market related questions, rant and tell tales about the stock market, and of course share my 2 decades of trading experience with you, all in the attempts to help you become a more profitable and a more successful trader. And hopefully it results in keeping you here, keeping you doing what you love to do, which is trade some stocks. Now, as always, if you guys need help, I'm going to post a link right there on the screen. Feel free to trade with us any day that the market is open. So I'm going to talk about something today that I haven't spent a lot of time on in past happy hours or just in general. And that's something called dying the slow death. And I got a couple of questions about it over the last few weeks, one in particular this week that I want to go through, and I want to spend some time on it because I feel that everybody's probably going through this at least some point in their trading career where they feel that they once were something very special or they once were on the right track to success. And then, of course, it's almost as if something changed overnight and they dwindled away to absolutely nothing, which is incredibly frustrating. I know I had a short term as well in my trading career when I went through that, and I'm going to share some things with you guys if you're going through that to help you. Or if you haven't gone through that and you end up going through it, you will remember, hey, that Lincoln dude, he said something about this. So anyway, here's the email that I got. Doug, I'm having a worrisome situation that is bothering me. That's not a good way to start an email, man. I was doing very well most of the year. My win rate was 70% or better for most months. My drawdowns and risk were in check, but all of that changed in September. Since then, my trading has gotten worse. My win rate has dropped to 40%. I'm still keeping my risk low. I'm staying with the trend. There's parentheses that says bullish. So I'm buying stocks most of the time, and I'm doing the same things as before, but I'm on the opposite side of every trade I take, it seems. I feel so stupid because the market goes up every day and I buy stocks, but I pick the worst ones every day, and I have done so for close to 3 months now. I hate myself for getting in this position and giving back my year. Most of my profits are gone for the year. I know you have talked about account blowups, but I am dying a slow death. How do I stop this? Is this normal for the growing process, or am I not cut out for this? Okay. So I'm sure that some of you have experienced something very similar. I know I've gone through these peaks and valleys. I have kind of talked about that, where one moment you're doing very well and then the next moment things just aren't working. The first part of this is very important that I want to highlight first is don't get on the shame train. You can't play that game with yourself. It's not going to help you at all. And what I mean by that, guys, is living with regrets is a very bad thing. It's a very dangerous and it's a very bad thing. You can't carry bitterness around. You can't carry regret around with you, especially in the stock market. What is done is done. You have to focus on the now. You have to take an account of where you are right now as a trader. Forget about what it is that you have done in the past and say, this is where I am right now. This is who I am right now, and accept it and start to take the necessary steps to move on. That's the only thing you can do in this situation. Getting pissed off, I know it feels good sometimes, and trust me, we all need to let it go. I do it still. You got to get some steam off your chest, but you got to find a way just to get it off your chest and move on and start making good trades again. Now, what this is really telling us sometimes is we go through these periods, like I said in the beginning, where we're doing really, really well. And it seems like we are going to be professional, or we're going to get rich doing this, or we're going to experience a high level of success. And we're happy with that because the hard work that we're putting in, the research that we're putting in, the execution, the management, the ideas, all that stuff is working and it's in unison. And it's a great feeling. It's surreal, right? And you feel really good about that. Then all of a sudden, those same tactics stop working. Now, it's not important always what the market does. The market is a complete... Almost spilled my drink there. But my face looked funny. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I forgot what I was talking about. Okay. Don't pay attention to the market necessarily, unless you're trading futures. The market moves its own way, and it's kind of like its own entity. There's a basket of stocks and stuff held in these ETFs, and it's based on a bunch of other things. What really does matter is the stocks that you are looking at. And you can kind of make that case when you look across the board. I would figure that most of you see the same things that I'm seeing, is even though the stock market's making a new all-time high, which seems like every other day of the week, there's still a lot of stocks I mean, most of them on my watch list, not every one of them, but I'd say the majority, over 80% of the ones that are on my watch list are way, way off of their highs. There's only a handful of them that are making new highs. So they kind of, again, the money rotations, the cycles, and it does depend on what type of stock that you're trading and what is the catalyst for that stock and the reasons why you are trading it. Just because the market is going up doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lift the tide and take your crappy stock with it. So we go through these periods again where we're doing really well. And there could be in a delusional spot here where you think you are continuing to do the same things, but you're not. So that's one avenue. The other thing is the truth. You are doing the same thing. It's just not working. So let's deal with each one of those first. Let's talk about the delusion. It's real easy that when you become successful or you experience large portions of success, there could be hidden things underneath of this where you start to feel as if you're invincible, that your ego is in control of every situation and you can get out of every trade. So it's easy to slip into that and not recognize that you're becoming over aggressive, you're becoming sloppier because you're feeling that the market's bouncing all the time and your strategy's always working, that you start to cheat. I'm going to use air quotes for cheat, meaning you kind of scoot up on your entries or chase entries a little bit, and you get away with some things. Now, sometimes you get away with those for long periods of time, depending on the market. You know, when the market's breaking out a lot of times in all-time highs or stocks are breaking out at all-time highs, you can get away with chasing here and there. And that can become a delusionary event because at some point that changes and you can't get away with that behavior anymore and you're going to be punished. And there's this difference I talked about. One of the issues with my career is I was doing really, really well in the beginning, but I didn't know why I was doing well. You know, so when things turned sour, I didn't have an answer. I wasn't prepared for that. And I just kept doing the same thing, but the market had completely changed. Now, that might be a situation here. Now, the other is you're doing the same things, but now it's not necessarily working. Either one of those, you've got to find out where that problem is. And I've made this clear before in a lot of happy hours or whiteboards too. There's 3 components to a trade. You guys that trade with me all the time. It's a broken record. I say this dozens, hundreds of times at least. Idea, execution, management. Those are the 3 components that go into every trade. You need a good idea. You need to have good execution on that idea. Then you have to manage that idea properly. If something goes wrong with your trades or your trading in general starts to suffer, look at one of those spots and you will find your answer. You are either making poor ideas, you either have poor execution, you either have very poor or poor management. I would mostly say it goes to the management side of the equation because generally what happens in a trader's case is once they become unconfident, let's say, and they suffer some setbacks in your case where you just continually feel like you're on the opposite side of every single trade that you make, your confidence takes a hit there. So your patience also subconsciously follows that. When you don't have when you're kind of panicky, you want things to work out, you're looking for a bigger trade, subconsciously you can start to panic when something starts to turn against you, and then you just start cutting it and you're not really sure why. So remember, the basis and the foundation is idea, execution, and management. Find out. You might have a problem with all 3 of them, I don't know. But for each and every one of you, when you struggle, that's where you're going to find your answer. Am I having the right ideas? Am I making the right executions? And am I having the right management? And for all of us, 80% of this whole story, 80% of this whole game for trading falls right on the management part. We're sometimes not seeing what it is that we need to see. We're getting faken out. We're getting shaken out. And that's where problems start to occur. And in this dying the slow death phase, it's just like pain. It's pain after pain after pain, and your confidence is taking a hit. So then the question becomes, how do we handle something like this? What are the steps that we need to take to move on? Well, the first thing that we've got to focus here on is we got to stop thinking about making money. We got to stop thinking about getting that money. I'm not saying necessarily who wrote this email doesn't indicate that that's necessarily what has happened, but we can't think about making money or getting the money back or revenge trading that money back. Again, like I said in the beginning, we've got to forget about what has happened. We got to take an accurate account of who we are as a trader right now. And then we have to start taking the steps to correct it. So what are those steps? Once you've accepted, okay, this is what happens, I've screwed up the last 3 months. Forget about those. Let's worry about the next month, the next 3 months. For me, it comes to one day at a time. I try to trade one day at a time and focus just on that day, not worry about how my week is going to turn out, how my month is going to turn out, how this may impact my year. I'm focused on just the day. What are the best opportunities in front of me today, and what is it that I need to do to expose myself to those opportunities? So forget about the money. What you're trading for right now in a situation like this is you're trading for mojo. You're trying to get your confidence back. It's the lifeblood of a trader. You have got to have confidence, and you're losing confidence because your process is not working. So what you have to do is change that little bit. Find out idea, execution, and management. Where am I going wrong? What is it I need to do? And I would recommend that every trader in this situation starts out with lower size. Take your sizes down. Cut them in half, cut them in thirds, cut them down as far as you need to go to just give them a little bit more breathing space, because sometimes the market's internals get erratic and you get stopped out a lot. Sometimes charts don't have continuity to them and you have to adjust. Again, I said this before too, that you don't have to throw your strategy out. You just have to adjust the approach of said strategy in said market, how it works. So in a case like now where stocks are going up a lot, where they melt up, there's usually a couple pullbacks intraday. You got to just give yourself a little bit of space. That's all you got to do. And the easiest way for you to do that is to do it through position size. Get rid of the anxiety, get rid of the frustration, and give the trade a little more time to work out. That will help you. And then from that point, really pay attention to each and everything that you are doing. Take a deeper look. I said idea, execution, and management. Before you get into something, think about that really long and hard. If this is the right opportunity for you right now. Is this the best place that your money is going to work? Is this exactly part of your plan and part of your process? And review that each day. So when you go through these periods of time like this where you're struggling, the first thing you have to do is alter your approach. You can keep your same strategy. If it's been effective before, it will work now in the market. It just needs a few things to be fixed. Start out by trading lower position size, then become a little bit more diligent about your research when you're doing back testing, when you're reviewing your charts at the end of the day, you're reviewing your ideas, and try to find out where that problem, the initial problem, is starting, and just go with that. And if you don't really know where that is, pick one that you feel that it is. So if you have bad execution, just try to be a little bit more patient. Don't try to fix it all in one day. Just pick the worst and then go to the least worst and start from right there. I still do that today. I still try to figure out where I can be better, where I can work. Even after 22 years now, I still try to be better. I picked something that I really feel I struggled on, idea, execution, and management. Was my execution bad this week? Am I jumpy with my trades? Am I emotional with my trades? And then I'll spend the next week really trying to fix that one thing more than anything else. So I kind of hope that helps you guys out. Look, we all go through this. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is a whole journey that we're all in together. Trading is all about peaks and it's all about valleys. This is just something that we all have to experience from one time. Usually your valleys get a little shorter and shorter and your peaks last a little longer and longer as you go on. But whether you're an amateur trader, a first timer, or a professional, we all experience those same emotions. We're not different. The only thing different between the professional is they just have a little more experience with it. The screen time, the experience, the faith in the process has allowed them to understand when things aren't in their favor and when things are in their favor, and in positioning and preparing themselves accordingly. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching this happy hour. I do appreciate it. Tips, comments, suggestions, arguments, debates, send it my way. Support at thelincolnlist.com. Until next time, cheers.